Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it might be, wherever you're watching this. Today's video, I'm going to be talking you through how my client Jade got ripped to fuck for her wedding day, lost a significant amount of body fat, gained a heap of muscle, and gained a wealth of knowledge around her training and nutrition. When Jade first came to me, she was very much in a position where she was engaged to get married and she didn't like what she was seeing in the mirror. She had zero knowledge when it came around to nutrition, training. She didn't know what she should be doing in the gym. She felt like a lost puppy in that environment. She is vegetarian and she's also dairy intolerant. In terms of like getting protein in, what foods she should be eating, when she should be eating them, things like that, she was clueless. She wanted to change her physique. She really didn't like what she was seeing in the mirror. She had zero body confidence and she was feeling a little bit anxious about her wedding day, but she had no idea how to go about correcting that. Where I came in was basically just starting from the ground up. She was already going into the gym. As much as she wasn't familiar with that environment and she wasn't necessarily confident in it, she was at least getting in there and doing something. She was relatively active and it wasn't like her diet was awful. She just wasn't prioritizing the right foods and there was maybe a little too much indulgence, let's just say at the weekends, things like that. And being veggie and dairy intolerant, it just obviously makes food selection a little bit more difficult. So that's kind of where my knowledge around nutrition really came into play to help her out, to make sure she was just hitting at the beginning certain protein targets and then further down the line more specific targets, not just with her overall daily intake but per meals as well. But again, this is something that transitioned over time. So Jade's goals was very much lose a significant amount of body fat, build her glutes, create more definition around her arms and in her back. The standard sort of body parts that you want to be showing off on your wedding day. Obviously wearing a dress, typically you're going to be showing off your back, you're going to be showing off your shoulders and your arms. These are the kind of areas that she wanted to really shape up, tone, and create a good level of muscle definition. Building her glutes, standard female goal right there, but also she wanted to, at this point in time, she wasn't too arsed about getting visible abs. However, she's very much at a point now where she's like, the goalposts have changed and that's something that she wants for her upcoming holiday, but I will be getting into that. Those are the sort of physique-based goals. She very much wanted to improve her knowledge and understanding around nutrition, more so to hit her dietary requirements as well, but just learn what she should be eating, when she should be eating it, and exactly why she should be eating it. So not just know what she should be doing, but the logic and the reasoning and the rationale behind it as well at the same time. And most importantly as well, she wanted to regain a level of confidence in the gym. She's been going to the gym for a fair amount of time. It kind of worked in a bit of a, not a yo-yo, but it went back and forth in the sense of started off not confident, gained a bit of confidence, had a hiatus, a bit of time off from the gym, got back into it, and again was just back to feeling like a lost puppy and back to square one again. So her training was not structured properly, not programmed properly for the goals that she wanted, and she was kind of just freestyling workouts. How I came in from the get-go was, number one and most importantly, her training needed programmed and structured efficiently. Looking at her goals, bigger glutes, more muscle definition in the back, the arms and shoulders. So it was very much an upper-lower training split, training 4 times a week. 2 upper body sessions, 2 lower body sessions, with a little bit more of a glute focus, okay? Working on things like hip hinging, hip thrusting, lunge variations and squat variations with a little bit of abduction work to really focus on bringing her glutes up, while her upper body sessions were more tailored towards her back, her shoulders and her arms. So we could spend a bit of time building muscle while losing body fat, so when she was lean enough, these areas didn't look big, they didn't look bulky, they looked toned, they looked defined, they had shape. With her nutrition, we started off with a diet plan that was basically obviously jam-packed filled with foods that she enjoys, and there's feckle point in me giving someone a diet plan that's filled with foods they don't actually enjoy eating. And then obviously these meals were based around being veggie but also including zero dairy in them. A big thing for Jade was she wasn't hitting her protein targets, okay? So at the beginning it was very much a case of, right, all we're going to focus on is making sure you're at maintenance level of calories and you're getting an adequate amount of protein in. Being dairy intolerant and being veggie, that can be quite difficult to do, so we utilize things like pea protein, lactose-free 0% Greek yogurt, tofu, things like that, and just a shit heap of fiber through her veggies. And these are the kind of things that we focused on till eventually it got to a point where she no longer wants to be following a meal plan, and she wants a little bit more independence with her nutrition. So it's like, okay, what we're going to do is move away from a structured meal plan. I'm just going to tell you how much protein I want you to be eating, how much calories I want you to be eating, and you decide on what you're going to be eating. You create your own diet plan essentially. However, I was going to be overviewing that. I was going to be making sure that it wasn't just filled with pea protein shakes and curly whirlies, things like that. And then as time went on, we got her to a point where it's like, right, we're going to get a little bit more specific and organized with this. Rather than you just getting X amount of calories and X amount of protein per day, I want you to be hitting certain macronutrient targets per meal. Okay, now for the average person, this really, it's not something you need to stress about too much, but Jade is at a point now where she's really trying to maximize results. Okay, she's lost a shit heap of body fat, she's built a heap of muscle, she's absolutely on it, she's incredibly organized. I knew that this was something that she could handle. So hitting X amount of protein, X amount of carbs, X amount of fats, and a certain amount of fiber per meal, and prioritizing a certain amount of carbohydrates pre and post workout as well. With her training, it's went from that upper lower basic training split with a little bit of a glute focus, and it's a lot more now into still a upper lower training split, but it's the focus is split between her glutes and her back. Her arms, her delts, her glutes have all significantly come up, so that volume doesn't need to be pumped into those areas too much anymore, and her back needs a little bit of work, and that's still an area she wants to bring up. So backside with the glutes and the upper back, and it's gotten to a point where it's like, right, rather than doing 3 sets per exercise of basic machine work, we've now advanced into more free weighted complex movements, deadlift variations, pressing variations, row variations, things that are a lot more technically challenging and demanding, and gotten her to a point where it's just like, rather than doing 3 sets of 10, she's maybe doing 2 heavy sets of 7 to 12, 1 back off lighter set of 10 to 15 with an intensifier at the end. So it's gotten her from a basic training program to a lot more advanced technical one that's a lot more technically demanding, but it's also going to require a hell of a lot more effort in the gym, meaning that she's going to build more muscle, use more energy, burn more calories, lose more body fat as well at the same time. When she was getting towards the end of that diet for her wedding, she was entering what I would call like zombie mode. And this is what we refer to, because she used the phrase like, I'm feeling like a bit of a walking corpse at the point. And this is something that when you're on low food and you're on high cardio and high steps and your expenditure is high, your input is low, you get to a point where you have very little patience and energy for anyone or anything. And she was very embracing of this challenge because she knew that this was what was required in order to get the last bit of body fats off and really showcase a high level of definition across her body. But rather than us just saying, right, you're on low food, off you go, there was various touch points throughout the week. 2 check-ins per week. I would message her throughout the week to make sure she was absolutely on top of it, just making sure that she wasn't crashing out. Be giving her refeeds and diet breaks when they were necessary, so it'd just be a case of, right, you've been running flat for about 7 days, we're gonna have a few days now of higher food, refresh, recharge, and then go back into that heavy deficit to get the remainder of the body fat off. And it was kind of just rinsing and repeating this whole process. Her body weight, in terms of where she's at now, is the same as when we first started, with a completely different composition, a hell of a lot less body fat with a hell of a lot more muscle, meaning that she can weigh the same but look completely different. Her confidence in the gym is unmatched. That's not an issue anymore. She has a wealth of knowledge around nutrition. She knows how to set up her own diet, not just in terms of a day-to-day basis, but what she should be eating pre and post workout, how much protein she should be eating per meal, how much carbs per meal, how much fats per meal, and how much fiber. So it's rather than just a case of you're eating 2,000 calories per day, she's on 2,600 calories per day now. She's eating 100 and I think it's 50 grams of protein distributed evenly between all meals. Most of our carbs are pre and post workout, with a little bit in our 3rd and 4th meal, but then it's an even split of fats and an even split of fiber. But she's got full control over that food and she's totally fine with it. It was a little bit daunting to begin with because it requires a higher level of organization. But as I said, Jade's absolutely fucking on it, and that's not an issue. She obviously had her wedding day, sending me a message as well saying that she was the most body confident she's ever been, and she was incredibly fulfilled and satisfied with like showing her physique off in her dress on her big day, which for me was fucking awesome to see, and that was the ultimate goal when we first signed up. So the fact that she achieved that and more, very delighted with. She's at a point now where she's got a holiday later this year, October I believe, so we're just building her calories back up in a very sort of slow manner. The goal's not to get Jade fat again, obviously. It's to build her calories up so training performance can skyrocket, she can build a bit more muscle, so the next time she goes to diet down, she's got significantly less body fat in her starting point. Her food is significantly higher, meaning that she's still gonna have to enter that zombie mode at some point, but maybe not for as long next diet round. As I said before, like Jade's ultimate goal when she first signed up was get in phenomenal shape for her wedding day. She wanted more back definition, more shoulder definition, more arm definition. She wanted to be leaner around the midsection, but she never mentioned anything about visible abs before. That's changed. The goalposts have changed now, where she can see we've done 2 fat loss phases, and at the end of each fat loss phase, there's been way more definition around that midsection, showing off a little bit of abs. She's now at a point where she wants visible abs for her holiday, and just kind of seeing the end result of each fat loss phase that we have done together. I know for a fact at the end of this next one before her holiday, she's going to be going away not just feeling fucking ace about herself, but showcasing a sick set of abs as well at the same time. Now, as much as Jade has a unique circumstance in the sense of, like, she's vegetarian, she's dairy intolerant, the things that she mostly struggled with in terms of body and gym confidence, or a lack of knowledge and understanding around nutrition and training, these are all things that the majority of not just women but people in general struggle with, and stop them from not just achieving their physique based goals and their health and fitness based goals, but also maintaining them long term. Jade's very much now at a point, even though we're still working together and we've got a new goal, I know for a fact that if she was to sack me tomorrow, she could sustain her goals and the changes that she's made by herself. And that is kind of because of the length of time we've been working together, how closely we work together, and the level of sort of understanding and education that she has gained throughout this process. So if you're someone who struggles with those same things, you have absolutely no fucking idea about training and exercise or nutrition, you are sick, fed up of looking in the mirror and feeling crap about what you see, you have a wedding, an event, a holiday, a birthday, whatever it might be that you want to get in shape for and feel your best for, send me a DM, shoot me a message, let's have a conversation about how I can help you achieve the exact same thing that Jade has achieved.